Imagine a world where charm, intelligence, and strategy are taught as rigorously as mathematics or history, where every gesture, word, and glance is trained to serve a purpose, and where young women are molded into masters of subtle influence, capable of shaping events without anyone realizing it. This was a world hidden from plain sight, a place where the art of connection became a weapon, and where human psychology was sharpened into an extraordinary tool of power. During the Cold War, special institutions were established that went far beyond conventional education, focusing on the development of highly specialized operatives. These schools trained young women to become not only intelligent and disciplined, but also exceptionally skilled in navigating human relationships for strategic purposes. The curriculum emphasized a combination of mental, emotional, and social skills designed to create operatives who could operate effectively in high-pressure and sensitive environments. Unlike traditional education, the focus here was on practical application, how knowledge could be leveraged to gain access, influence decisions, and obtain critical information. Students learned to observe subtle cues in behavior, to analyze social dynamics, and to adapt quickly to new situations, often under strict supervision and rigorous schedules. The programs reflected the intense geopolitical pressures of the time, where intelligence was as critical as military might, and the ability to influence people through social interaction was a strategic advantage. In addition to interpersonal skills, trainees were introduced to cultural nuances, etiquette, and even arts and languages relevant to the areas where they might be deployed, ensuring they could blend seamlessly into foreign or elite social settings. The combination of psychological preparation, cultural literacy, and practical strategy made these institutions unique laboratories for the study of human behavior and influence, shaping a generation of individuals trained to operate at the intersection of charm, intelligence, and strategic intent. A critical part of the training in these institutions focused on emotional intelligence and the ability to influence others through subtle social cues. Students were taught to recognize micro-expressions, shifts in tone, and body language, allowing them to understand the thoughts and feelings of those around them almost instinctively. This training went beyond simple charm or etiquette. It was a disciplined study of human psychology designed to make interpersonal interactions a strategic tool. Trainees practiced techniques for building trust quickly, maintaining rapport under scrutiny, and guiding conversations toward desired outcomes without appearing forceful or manipulative. Exercises included simulated social encounters, role-playing high-pressure scenarios, and learning how to adapt personalities to match different targets or situations. The emphasis was on making the influence appear natural, seamless, and almost effortless, which required mastering both observation and subtle action. Through repetition and careful instruction, students developed the capacity to turn everyday social interactions into opportunities for gaining critical information or strategic advantage. This training also reinforced adaptability, teaching students how to pivot when a conversation or situation deviated from expectations while maintaining their composure and goals. Over time, they learned to combine emotional insight with cognitive strategy, effectively transforming empathy and understanding into tools for precise influence and persuasion, making them highly effective in environments where psychological skill could determine the success of a mission. Another essential aspect of the training involved intense psychological conditioning and strict discipline, aimed at preparing students to perform effectively under extreme pressure. The programs were designed to strengthen mental resilience, focus, and emotional control, ensuring that trainees could navigate unpredictable or high-stakes situations without hesitation. Exercises often included simulations of stressful encounters, timed decision-making tasks, and scenarios that required maintaining calm while processing complex information. The combination of physical activity, cognitive challenges, and emotional control drills helped create individuals capable of responding to stress with precision and strategic thinking, rather than panic or impulsivity. Mental conditioning extended to memory enhancement techniques, problem-solving under pressure, and the cultivation of patience and observation skills, all of which were crucial in environments where details could mean the difference between success and failure. Discipline was enforced not only in routines and schedules, but also in maintaining secrecy, self-control, and ethical adaptability, teaching students to balance personal emotions with professional objectives. The training emphasized the interconnection between mind and body, demonstrating that physical stamina, posture, and presence could reinforce mental sharpness and influence. By developing this combination of psychological endurance and tactical awareness, students were equipped to execute complex strategies, maintain composure in delicate situations, and leverage both their mental and emotional capacities as operational tools. This comprehensive approach ensured that every action, decision, and interaction could be measured, deliberate, and effective, creating operatives with extraordinary control over themselves and their environment. An equally important part of the training involved deep cultural and social immersion, which prepared students to operate seamlessly in diverse and often elite environments. Trainees were educated not only in formal etiquette, but also in the subtle nuances of language, customs, and social behavior that could vary widely across different societies or social classes. They learned how to interpret and adapt to these cultural signals, ensuring that their presence appeared natural and unremarkable, even in high-level or unfamiliar settings. This level of preparation enabled them to gain access to spaces and networks that would otherwise be closed, allowing them to observe, interact, and influence without drawing attention to themselves. Instruction often included mastery of multiple languages, exposure to fine arts, history, literature, and social codes relevant to the regions or communities they might encounter. Beyond technical knowledge, students were trained to read social hierarchies, understand interpersonal dynamics, and anticipate how individuals might react in various scenarios, giving them a strategic advantage in conversations and negotiations. The ability to blend into a group or setting was considered a critical skill, as it allowed the trainees to gather information, assess situations, and execute strategies with minimal detection. Social immersion also reinforced adaptability, teaching them to adjust tone, demeanor, and style in real time to maintain credibility and influence. By combining cultural literacy with acute observation and behavioral flexibility, these young women became highly skilled at navigating complex social landscapes, transforming ordinary interactions into opportunities for strategic insight and operational success. The training environment was also marked by profound ethical and moral ambiguity, challenging students to navigate situations where personal values often conflicted with professional objectives. From the very beginning, trainees were confronted with scenarios that required them to weigh the consequences of their actions against broader operational goals. They were taught that persuasion, seduction, and manipulation could serve a larger purpose, framing these techniques as tools in service of a mission rather than merely personal or social skills. This approach created a complex moral landscape in which students had to reconcile the demands of duty with their own sense of right and wrong. The curriculum emphasized the importance of maintaining composure and discretion while carrying out tasks that could involve deception, emotional influence, or exploitation of trust. Trainees learned to separate their personal feelings from professional responsibilities, cultivating a mindset where outcomes and objectives often justified the means. At the same time, instructors encouraged reflection on the psychological impact of these actions, helping students understand how their behavior could affect others and themselves over time. This constant negotiation between ethics and practicality fostered mental flexibility, resilience, and a heightened awareness of human psychology. By operating within this morally gray environment, students developed the ability to make difficult decisions quickly, to balance emotional intelligence with strategic thinking, and to perform actions that required both skill and ethical judgment, creating operatives capable of navigating highly sensitive and challenging situations with precision and control. The legacy of these specialized training programs extends far beyond their historical context, influencing modern approaches to intelligence, social engineering, and interpersonal strategy. Techniques once taught in secret schools continue to inform contemporary practices in negotiation, diplomacy, and covert operations, demonstrating the enduring value of combining psychological insight with disciplined training. By studying these programs, we gain a deeper understanding of how human behavior can be shaped, guided, and leveraged to achieve specific objectives without the use of force or overt authority. The skills developed, ranging from emotional intelligence and persuasive communication to cultural literacy and social adaptability, highlight the power of subtle influence in both historical and modern settings. Trainees were taught to observe patterns, assess motivations, and act in ways that maximized strategic advantage while minimizing risk of detection, a principle that remains central in fields such as cybersecurity, intelligence analysis, and high-stakes negotiation. The emphasis on Adaptability and resilience prepared students to respond effectively to unpredictable circumstances, an approach that is now mirrored in leadership training, behavioral research, and operational planning. By examining this history, we also gain insight into the ethical complexities involved when human interaction becomes a tool of strategy, highlighting the delicate balance between influence, manipulation, and personal morality. Ultimately, the methods developed in these programs demonstrate that disciplined preparation, psychological acumen, and cultural understanding can create a level of effectiveness that transcends time, offering lessons about human potential, strategy, and the enduring impact of skillful interpersonal engagement on both individual and global outcomes.